few weeks ago, I did a video comparing the Sitka Fanatic jacket to the Numa High Point jacket. Now, in that video, I talked a lot about the comparison between the different kinds of insulation capabilities of the jackets and really gave you a clear and defined blueprint of how each sized up to each other. Well, I'm doing the same thing again and still using the Sitka Fanatic as my kind of benchmark. It's kind of one of the first in the industry that was that extreme cold weather bow hunting gear that kind of set the standard, and now everybody else is kind of trying to, either beat it or do something better or do something comparable. And what I wanted to do is take the few extreme cold weather sets of clothing that I've tested and put them up against the Sitka Fanatic. And then at the end, the last video I'm going to do is kind of a comparison of them all against each other. I'm going to do some testing. I have some temperature probe things that I'm going to do some head-to-heads on each one to show the heat retention of each one of the jackets and kind of put my money where my mouth is kind of thing to see how they really size up to each other and actually test them simultaneously in the same environment to see how they kind of hold up and how they retain warmth for you. Now, in this video, I'm talking about comparison between the Sitka Fanatic and the ASIO Late Season jacket. And we'll take a little look at the bibs here too near the end. But in this video, just like the last video, we're going to compare each one from a feature set, how they're made, what the insulation's like, how they, stand up and hold up for you as a bow hunter. And, then you could take that away and say, okay, which one is meant for me and my style hunting? And I can tell you right from the get-go that these jackets, as opposed to the Numa High Point and the Sitka Fanatic, really have some substantial differences that can really change your focus and be focused on a different hunting style for each one. So let's jump into it. So hey, if you don't know me, my name is Mike, the Everyday Bow Hunter, owner of archeryhunting.com, and retired U.S. Army Green Beret, and I do a lot of reviews. If you look at my channel, I do a ton of reviews, but I also talk about a lot of other stuff for bow hunting, for the Everyday Bow Hunter. So if you like that kind of content, you want to support the channel, I'm not sponsored by anybody, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and most of all, hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I have new videos come out. So first off, let's talk about the things that the ASIO Late Season jacket and the Sitka Fanatic jacket have in common. One, they're 100% windproof. Both of them are definitely windproof, definitely tested, definitely out in the field. There's nothing coming through these guys. They both do an excellent job at wind stopping. Fanatic's known for it. The ASIO jacket is phenomenal, and also everything else that ASIO has that's claimed to be windproof, I've had absolutely no issues with. They've been fantastic, right? Next, durable water resistant protection. Right, you have durable water resistant protection here on the ASIO Late Season and on the Fanatic. But what do we have different here on the Fanatic is while you have durable water resistant protection, you also have a Berber fleece exterior that's going to soak in water regardless of the water resistant protection on it. It is going to soak into that. So just remember that as far as having this in any kind of wet weather environment or snow, you're going to have to deal with that at some point. We're going to talk about insulation here in a minute. Next, the durable water resistance side of this has been tested quite a few times. It has soft shell material and this panel material I talked about. The water pretty much rolls off of this. It does a great job. It is a smooth surface jacket versus a non-smooth surface jacket, except for the areas that we talked about that does have soft shell in it. So as I said in the last video, the Sitka Fanatic here has 120 grams of Primaloft silver insulation in the body and 80 in the arms. So that's how that's set. Now the difference here is the ASIO Late Season jacket has 180 grams of Primaloft gold insulation in it. So automatically, right off the bat, it is going to be, this is a heavier jacket than this. And if you don't know the difference between the two types of insulation, Primaloft has basically 4 types of insulation that you'll see in a lot of things. Primaloft Evolve is kind of their active insulation. It's breathable and still keep you warm. It's in like the Sitka ambient hoodie, for example, or ambient jacket. That has Primaloft Evolve in it. Now, Primaloft Silver, you'll see in a lot of stuff. Obviously, in this jacket, it was in the Numa jacket that I reviewed with this before. The Numa jacket also has Primaloft Silver in it. Primaloft Gold is the next step up in insulation. It is a more compressed insulation. You get more insulation for less, basically a higher warmth to weight ratio, right? and it's more hydrophobic, which means the PrimaLoft Gold has a 98% warmth retention rate. So if it gets wet, it still maintains its warmth level at 98% of the original warmth, whereas PrimaLoft Silver is at 85%, right? So we already said that, but with 180 grams of PrimaLoft Gold, this is automatically almost in a different category than this jacket. Because this now, we're talking about a significant weight difference, probably almost a pound difference between the two jackets. Because of that, you have even if you had, for example, if you take PrimaLoft Silver and PrimaLoft Gold, you have about a 15% increase in warmth for gold versus silver. That's from PrimaLoft themselves. That's not from Sitka. That's not from ASIO. That's from PrimaLoft themselves. A 15% difference in warmth. It's 15% warmer with the gold, which is significant. And then you have that hydrophobic thing where it retains warmth even more when it's wet. So that's a big thing as well, which this jacket here can obviously stay wet a lot more than this jacket can. So that's something to think about. Now, even if both these jackets had 120 grams each of silver and gold, that would automatically make the ASIO jacket 15% warmer than this jacket. But it has 180 grams, 60 more grams of insulation, but it has gold. So obviously we are talking about a significant difference in warmth. And I've seen people say that they didn't think that the ASIO late season jacket is as warm as the Sitka Fanatic. And it's impossible. It's impossible for the Sitka Fanatic jacket, even with the Berber fleece added to it here, to be warmer than the ASIO late season jacket. It's impossible, right? I'm going to do some tests later on and you'll see that. So we're going to really dive into some science and look at how they hold up with heat retention. But automatically, right off the board, you have that. Both of these jackets have a similar internal fleece that's almost identical. Microgrid fleece inside, so you're not talking about anything really different with that. But that 180 grams makes this a different jacket in a different level, in my opinion. It's almost a tier above the Sitka Fanatic. Now, if you are one of those people that said, I tried the ASIO jacket, that thing is definitely not as warm as the Sitka Fanatic, I don't know what you're talking about. Well, there might be a reason for that, and it's something pretty scientific itself. But hear me out. So when you're talking about a jacket that's heavier in insulation versus one that's lighter in insulation, both fairly warm, you're in 20-degree weather, for example. You have these jackets on your pack, tied to you, hanging off your back. You get to your stand, you put them on, and you get up in the tree or whatever you do, you stay at your stand. Right now, because you have less insulation to warm up, to match your body heat, right? Because that's what your jackets are doing. You put a jacket on, basically what it's doing is retaining your body heat. Well, it takes some time, especially if that jacket is now cold from your walk into your stand. Now you have only 120 grams of PrimaLoft Silver to warm up, right? If you have this heavier jacket, one, it might take you longer to warm up in this jacket versus this jacket, right? I did a ton of research on this. But as you do warm up in this jacket, what's going to happen is it's going to retain that warmth for way longer than this jacket will because of that difference in the insulation, right? There's multiple tests across different kinds of jackets, including jackets like these, that show that is definitely a factor. So when you have a heavier coat on, it could actually take you longer to get warm because of this scenario. Now, that is why I always, if you looked at my layering video, go down in the description, you'll see it. See if I can put it up here or whatever up here in the video. But go and watch my how to layer video. It's going to talk about how when you get to your stand, right, you might want to air out initially when you first get there, but all that warmth that you've generated, right, you now want to take advantage of that. And because of the windproof nature of these jackets, you throw them on and you are going to warm these jackets up way faster than you would otherwise, especially if you're cold. That's why it's probably good to keep these in a warm area before you walk to your stand, so you don't have to go through, you don't want them hanging outside if possible. And that way they're not having to warm up so much, because it will definitely this ASIO jacket a lot longer to warm up. So that's a big difference between the two. Next, and the same thing goes with the bibs. Both of these bibs are along the same lines. The bibs here for the ASIO has the same 180 grams of insulation, of Primaloft Gold insulation in them, right? And we already talked about the bibs last time. So, for Sitka last time. Anyway, so next, let's talk about the functional differences between these jackets. Now, we already talked about the features of the Sitka Fanatic. We talked about the features of the ASIO Late Season. Now, this jacket has a Napoleon pocket up front here, much like the Fanatic. It has the high-speed YKK zippers. In fact, they're almost identical in sound when I tested them. Right here, it also has a rangefinder pocket here that's also zippered. All seams are taped, just like the Sitka Fanatic. Have that durable water-resistant protection on there. It's taping things out to keep you wind-sealed and warm and dry as can be with both jackets. Does a great job. Zippers down here on two pockets that you have right here, which are Sherpa lined as well. These are Sherpa lined pockets, which are very, very warm, right? And we talked about these panels here. They are pretty quiet, right? Pretty quiet. But inside here, just like the Fanatic, it has this soft shell material on the inside here, and it has it on both arms. So this jacket is good for left and right hand shooters, much like the Numa jacket was that I talked about in the previous video. The thing that I think is a weakness of the jacket is, one, I might have been able to size this down to a medium. I'm kind of an in-between guy because I feel like the arms are a little bulky. But like I said, you have 180 grams of the Primaloft Gold in here. It's also in the arms. It's no difference. The whole thing is that way. So you got that in the arms as well. Whereas the Sitka Fanatic has 80 grams of the silver in the arms to make the arms more mobile. So you have a little bit more bulkiness in this jacket because of that. But I still found you definitely draw your bow fine, right? But you can, there's a little bit of sound here for this compared to practically no sound with the Fanatic. As I said, the Fanatic's extremely quiet. The wind gaskets or whatever here on the hands and the width of the jacket around here at the wrist itself, I think this could be tighter around the wrist than it is. It's definitely, maybe part of the reason why I say I could have sized down in this jacket, so that could be part of it. But I think that the sleeves are a little wide here down at the end, and they could be definitely smaller and kind of tighter to your wrist, especially when you're trying to keep that wind out, right? So that's something to be said for the jacket. Now, we talk about the safety harness port in the back. You can see it's a pretty standard like you see on most stuff. The Fanatic is different, obviously, the way I have that set up. The other thing that the ASIO has is you can see the way this is tapered down in the collar here. It is a bow hunter's collar. It's specifically made for bow hunters so that when you're drawing your bow, you're trying to get your anchor point, your collar's not getting in the way. So that's why the collar comes down here the way it does. You can actually get these jackets without that feature. You can get a full collar with them too. So I don't know if that's just specific to the Sherpa line jacket or if the late season jacket has as well. I have to go and look at that to be sure. Now, the next thing we talk about is durability. That's where I think the ASIO stuff really sets itself apart. Now, between the bibs here and talk about like the bibs here and the jacket here on the Fanatic, the durability and the ability to go through thick brush and handle thick brush without getting caught up in it. If you're using the Fanatic, that Berber fleece is going to get caught up in stuff. Now, on the knees and stuff and the lower legs here of the bibs for the Fanatic, it's all soft shell material. So they're trying to avoid that, but you do have it up in the upper torso head and above the cargo pockets and up, you have that Berber fleece. So that's something you have to deal with. With the ASIO, you have all durable material the whole way through. It is extremely durable and great for busting through brush. I think all the ASIO stuff that I've tested over the years, that's one of the features that has stood out above them, so almost to a detriment sometimes, is that they're definitely tough and they can handle going through thick stuff, right? This jacket, much like the Fanatic, you do not want to wear into your stand. In fact, wearing the bibs into the stand, which I think the ASIO bibs are fantastic. I also think the Fanatic bibs are fantastic. Both of them are phenomenal. But I would definitely have my zippers open on the legs on both of them because you're going to sweat out on both of them regardless. ASIO bibs are warmer. It's no way around it. They're definitely warmer than the Fanatics, but you got to take the feature set that we're talking about here for both of these and look at them, right? The wrists, as I talked about with this, you know, you can see the jacket here, it's kind of wide. With the Fanatic, you can see you don't quite have that problem. I think I just popped my arm out. Now, the biggest thing here, we talked about all these features, talked about the fact that the ASIO late season stuff is by far warmer, in a category by itself above that of the Sitka Fanatic, right? It's definitely a tier above, much warmer, but that can be a detriment too. You might want to go down and use the Sherpa line bibs for ASIO if you want to stick with ASIO because you like the Raptor camo, right? It's just a great tree stand hunting camo. I had doe all over me at one point on the ground, all around me within almost arm's reach this year, and they looked right past me. So I really like this camo, the Raptor camo. You have the elevated 2 camo with the Fanatic. You can also look at different options for that. I don't know if they have any other options yet for the Fanatic for as far as that goes. Now, the last thing to talk about is price. Now, between the two of these, you have a significant price difference. For the ASIO jacket and bibs, they're both retailing for about $379. The Sitka Fanatic bibs and jacket are a little bit over $460. So you can see there you have almost $100 difference for each item. I'm not talking about together. Each item is about each one of those prices. $379 for the jacket here, $379 for the bibs, $460 for the bibs on Fanatic, $460 for the jacket on the Fanatic. Right, so you see right there, but both of these will go on sale and you can get them cheaper. The cheapest I've seen, the ASIOs, has been 40% off for them, so that's a significant price drop for them. I've seen the Fanatic down in almost at like $299 at the cheapest I've seen that. At the end of season, after the season's over, is literally the best time to buy this stuff, right? Right now, you might want to go and take a look at their websites and see what they're priced at, because they might be pushing into that time when those sales stop. So get out there and check that out now. But that's it, guys. That's everything. If I missed something, get down in the comments, ask your questions, tell me what I might have missed, and we'll go over that. Next video is coming up. I have 2 more different items that I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over the Huntworth Matterhorn late season stuff, and we'll go over Cryptek Vela stuff and see how that compares to all this. So that's my next 2 videos. And then, as I said, I'm going to have a culmination video where we really test each one of these items against themselves in a more scientific way and talk about heat retention and see what we can come up with. So that's all I have, guys. And until then, I'll see you next time.